All right, and it's time for another Walking Dead retro review. I'm Justin.
I'm Jessi.
You didn't do the zombie voice. WTF, Nate?
I'm Jessi.
There you go. Jessi had said she was going to start doing those intros in a zombie voice in honor of The Walking Dead. So
yeah,
we got to hold her to it. So if you're new to the channel, well, we talk about The Walking Dead. We're also about to start talking about The Last of Us show this weekend and tons of other stuff. So if you do like what you hear, consider hitting the like and subscribe button. Also, check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/thepodcastingdead. And so this episode, we're going to be talking about The Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 12. It's called Still. It was directed by Julius Ramsey and written by Angela Kang, who would later on become the showrunner. Let's see. It features music, Up the Wolves by the Mountain Goats. And this was originally aired March the 2nd of 2014. And Jessi, what did you think about the episode?
It wasn't my favorite. I think the whole...
Yep. Not mine either. Nope.
I did love that song, though.
The song was dope,
song.
Yep.
But this whole thing with Beth and Daryl just, is weird.
It is weird, and I find that this whole episode, just the whole thing just had me like...
Don't care.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like I can handle Beth in small increments, not a whole episode.
Yeah, it's that's the thing, and like Emily Kinney, who plays her, seems so sweet. Like on the talking on the show that used to come on after it, The Talking Dead, back when the show was on the air, there was a talk show that came on right afterwards. Basically like this, if we had people from the show as guests, and they had her on, and she seemed like such a sweetheart. So I always hate talking bad about Beth, but she's one of those characters I honestly just don't care about. Like,
me either.
I really don't. Like it's just, I don't know. It's nothing that Emily Kinney did as an actor that messed up the role. I'm not invested.
I didn't expect her to become like a main character. I'm surprised that she hasn't died by now.
Oh, I know it. And then it's like all her, thing with Daryl, and it's like you're literally helpless without him.
Yeah.
Like you're incapable of defending yourself and incapable of survival on your own. And I mean, I don't know how old, which is funny. She's actually older than me in real life. Yeah, she's super young looking, but she's older than me in real life. But
what is her secret?
I don't know. Apparently,
well, I guess this was a long time ago, but still.
And she still looks young as all get out. But I mean, I don't know how old Beth is supposed to be at this point. I probably could do the math and figure it out. But I don't know. Maggie's like in her early 20s. So Beth is a little bit older than Carl. Maybe she's like 18, 19. I don't know. Somewhere in that range.
Oh,
17.
I didn't. I was thinking she was
17, because Axel asked her in the prison how old she was. Remember? She said 17. He's like, 17. Interesting.
Yeah. But time and birthdays and stuff and age doesn't really exist in the zombie apocalypse.
That's true. That's very true. And it's been like a while, so I don't know. She's 17, 18 years old. But I don't know. This episode, I know that they were trying to dig into some of Daryl's and hers. I don't know. I think they were just really, I don't know. I just really didn't like it.
I don't know either. I don't know.
And then
I don't know.
And then their argument was just weird. I don't know. I don't know. And then they flip off the burning house. This is an episode that I've said for years, I just don't like it. This is the one I always skip. Always skip it when it comes on.
I thought, sorry.
That's what this episode does to me. I don't blame you.
I thought that them flipping the house off was really stupid.
What did that house do to you?
Her cussing so much is annoying, and her wanting to drink so bad is annoying, and her talking about loving being drunk is annoying. She's just annoying.
Well, and so I'm with you on almost all of those. The cursing all the time thing is just I don't know. It's a trope they do sometimes where they try to power up a girl character. It's oh, well, if she cusses a lot, she's tough.
No.
And, Beth strikes me not as someone who's tough, but as someone who's trying to be tough.
Right.
The alcohol thing, like I'm a little bit more lenient on that just because, you know, she's underage. She's probably, you know, she's never had a drink. And it's like, I might die tomorrow, damn it. I want a drink. So I can understand wanting that. But that being your driving force is a little, I don't know. I don't care for this episode. I don't feel like it does much at all to advance the overall plot of the show. Like, I guess, yes, we get to know Beth and Daryl. Like, I wouldn't have minded their interaction if it was spliced in with other things.
Right.
Like, you know,
yeah, it's just too much.
Yeah, like if because like again, I always go back to Game of Thrones because at a certain point they had it mastered before they kind of went off the rails. But like you could have some more character study type scenes with characters because you only got a few minutes of it, and then you were off to something else that was happening and exciting. So you would get to know Daryl and you'd get to know Beth a little bit better, but then you wouldn't have to stay with them the entire episode. Then you'd go off to like Rick doing something exciting. And I don't know, this episode, I'm sure there are lots of people out there who love it. So I'm not going to say I don't mean any offense. Like I don't mean to offend you, but I don't at all like resent my statement or retract it at any point.
No.
Like I don't like this episode. In a show that is one of my favorite shows of all time that I generally have mostly positive things to say about. This is the one episode you're going to hear me.
About? You going to sing it?
I've sung about The Walking Dead a lot.
Oh, have you? We can start a whole band on Walking Dead.
I want to be where the zombies are.
I want to see them
eat.
Ing. So how cool would that be? We could sing about each episode.
In this episode, Beth and Daryl bore me to death. I went down and took a nap. Wish I was deaf so I wouldn't have to hear Beth's voice. I don't know. It's going somewhere.
That was good.
Yeah, anything. Well, of course it was good compared to that episode. Every time Beth like would get to cuss and it would just have me like,
yeah.
Just giving her Dale face.
Love it.
And I don't know, like at one point, a lot of people were like thinking that like this was Daryl and Beth were going to get in a relationship. And I
kept thinking that, and I was like, no.
Well, no. The fact that she's supposed to be 17 or 18, and I don't know how old Daryl's supposed to be in the show, but Norman Reedus is in his 50s. So even back then, he was in like probably his late 40s, and it's like, you know, I know some older dudes date younger chicks. And at the time, technically, some people there was rumors that they were dating in real life, which actually isn't as gross as it would be on the show because in real life, he would have been 40 something and she was like 30 something or like right at 30. So it's like, yeah, there's a gap, but I've seen worse. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, I think, are further apart than that. So it's
we saw how that ended.
Yep. So like, but it's just in the show and you got a guy who's clearly like, you know, gotta be. I don't know if they're intending on him playing a 30-year-old, but I certainly thought with this episode, I was like halfway through it, I was like, are they going to get together? That's going to be weird.
This is the second time I've thought that. Ow! Sorry. Sorry.
You can't do that and not tell us what happened. What happened? Full screen Jessi ahead. What happened?
It doesn't look bad, but I scraped the skin off the top of my finger yesterday at work and it would not stop bleeding. It bled through everything. And now I keep hitting it, but I just scratched it and it hurts really bad. I literally sliced my arm open with a box cutter at work one time. Didn't hurt as bad as this.
Oh, anyway. Well, and then it was, but anyways, what were you saying? You were going to go into something else?
I was saying, I don't remember. What were we talking about? Oh, this might not be what I was saying, but it was just Norman Reedus' birthday, I think. Right?
Oh, was it? It might have been. If so, happy birthday to Norman Reedus.
That was him. Because I meant to text you and tell you that it was Daryl's birthday. And I forgot. So happy birthday. Happy late birthday.
I bet people who go to country clubs did not like this episode. Because Daryl does not like people that go to country clubs.
No. I thought it was weird, though, that he was like putting all that money in a bag. Like, what are you going to do with that? Do you just want it because he never had it? Which I get that, I guess.
I mean, it could definitely be if you were broke. It's like, look, I know there's no value to it, but it just feels good to have all this money. But yeah, what did you think? Sorry, we got a slight little delay. I'm not trying to interrupt you there.
No, you're good. I'm interrupting you.
No.
I was just going to say, I think it's funny how Beth put on new clothes and then they immediately got dirty.
Yeah. Yep. We get a little bit of Daryl's abusive father story, which we already kind of know about.
Yeah.
And then that whole scene where like the zombie is coming at him and he's like, "You gonna learn to shoot a crossbow," and she's like,
that was weird.
"Daryl, stop!" And he like, that was weird, man. Like that was, I don't know. I didn't know where that was going at first.
I didn't know where this whole episode was going. I thought it was going somewhere I didn't want it to, and then it didn't. And I was like, okay, so what's happening here? But maybe now that you said that they were dating in real life, maybe we felt that chemistry through the screen by accident.
Maybe.
Like it wasn't meant to be that way in the show, but it just came off that way because in real life they were in love.
Maybe. I don't know, but he's like married with like kids, or a kid at least. I know he's got one son, but I don't know, man. Like I said, this is one of those episodes, and I know it's going to be a short podcast, and I am sorry about that. But like, I didn't dig it when it came on. I've tried to rewatch it. It's there. There's episodes in this show that like when the show was airing week to week, that I was like, I didn't like that episode. Like I waited all week for that, and it kind of sucked. But then I go back and rewatch it when I'm binging, and I'm like, it's not a bad episode if you watch it. Like I said, I've said this a couple of times, but I've got friends who never watched it on TV. They would wait until the season dropped on Netflix.
Yeah.
Then they would just binge the whole season and then wait a year for the next one and binge that. And like stuff that I thought was slow and boring, they were like, I like that whole thing. And I realized when you binge it, it doesn't feel nearly as slow. You can take a slower episode and it's like, it's a little slow, but the next episode was awesome. But this episode is not one of those. There are many that I've dogged on the podcast the day after. Then I go back and rewatch it, and I'm like, oh, it was a pretty good episode. I was wrong. I liked it. This one, never been a change.
It was just awkward and annoying, and I just don't. Plus, why do you want to be drunk in the zombie apocalypse? Because I feel like unless you're
I'm not going to lie. I would be... Oh, yeah. No, in the zombie apocalypse, I know you've said earlier in an earlier podcast, you 100% trust that I would keep you alive. But I'm going to tell you right now, your boy going to have a buzz. I ain't saying I'm going to get belligerent, but your boy going to have a buzz. You got to work those nerves off before you be brave.
I just feel like Beth is already like handling a toddler. And then you're going to get drunk on top of that.
That's true.
It's too much.
That's true. I would have got drunk and not let her get drunk.
I don't know. I would not have gotten drunk with her.
See, I would need it for the nerves because like I don't mind flying. I've done it before, but I've got to hop on a plane tomorrow morning and fly to Miami. And it's like, I am 100% going to hit up that airport bar and have me like one or two bourbon on the rocks just to get the nerves off. Then I'll be on a plane like, if we crash, whatever.
I love flying. You crazy.
I do like flying. I mean, it's a fun experience. It's been a while. And I don't know, it is as crazy as this sounds, now that I have a kid, it's so different. Like, I think, I'm sure you can relate to this, but like when you were younger, you don't want to die, but at the end of the day, it's just your life that, you're just like, But when you have kids and the thought of like dying and leaving your kids without you, like that's that's something that scares you even more than just you dying. So like, now I'm like in my 20s, I'd have been like, who cares if it crashes, it crashes. It's my time. But now I'm like, if it crashes, I'm leaving a 3-year-old without a dad. So, speaking of kids.
I know. Excuse you.
Huh?
Excuse you.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But yeah, so I don't know. I would definitely have a few drinks, but I also think I handle my booze better than Beth and apparently Daryl.
Are you just sitting there?
I don't know.
About me handling my booze?
Yeah.
Wouldn't Jessi?
I'm just playing. I don't know about Daryl. I thought he handled his booze pretty good.
What?
No, he didn't.
I mean, this is the same Daryl that got drunk and was like, we're going to learn how to shoot the crossbow. Come on, shoot it. And was like holding her against her will. Look, he was drunk and aggressive and
okay, you're right.
And creepy, man. Like, you know, if you get intoxicated and start grabbing on people in any way, shape, or form, that's a little creepy.
That is really creepy.
Like you can't
But
be.
he was still a good shot. Like
No, he won't. He missed multiple times.
No.
Beth had to stab the zombie in the head because Daryl couldn't hit him in the head.
No.
Yeah.
What had happened was he shot the crossbow to pin the zombie against the whatever it was so that they could practice shooting the crossbow.
But his practice was terrible because then after that, he never could hit it anywhere but in the body.
Okay. He was, he had a mental breakdown. He's allowed.
I think you might be right, though. That might be the way it played out. Like, I know he pinned it to the tree and was like, we're going to have some target practice. But I think I had originally thought, like, he tried to shoot it and missed the head, but it pinned it. So he's like, hey, we're going to target practice. But I didn't think Daryl handled his booze.
Either one of those could work.
I don't think Daryl handled his booze all too well either. But I don't know. These are two characters like Daryl. I know there's a lot of Daryl love. I know a lot of people love Daryl, yada, yada, yada. But I think you're going to come to find that when there's a Daryl-centered episode, they're never good. Like, they're not. Like, Daryl is what we call, he's a great supporting character. Like, Rick is a main character. Michonne is a main character. Carl is a main character. There are certain characters that if you had one episode with just them, and there may be later an episode or two where there's just Rick, and you're like, that episode sucked. But genuinely, I just don't feel like Daryl is a character that can carry a whole episode by himself. And Beth certainly isn't.
No. And that makes me really sad because I love Daryl.
I do too.
Much.
I love Daryl with Rick. Like, Daryl and Rick together are awesome.
I love Daryl with Carol.
One of the worst episodes in Walking Dead history, and I think most of the viewers will agree, at least the ones that follow this channel regularly, because they all certainly agree during the live cast. There is a Daryl and Carol episode down the road that is quite possibly the worst episode the show has ever had. I like them together, but not alone on an episode. Like, have them together while stuff's going on. It's okay. Which I will say, when you have a cast of characters this big, it's hard to have even Rick, it's hard to have a single character or two on an episode and it be interesting because you've got this whole group you want to know what's going on with.
I know, yeah.
Like, what's Glenn and them, what are Glenn, Abraham, and all that group up to? Where's Sasha and Maggie and Bob? Where's Rick and Michonne and Carl right now? Instead, we spend the whole episode with Beth and Daryl.
I want to know what's going on with Tyrese and Carol still. I'm waiting.
Let me tell you, one of the most shocking episodes, I'd say, and I think most would probably agree, one of the most shocking episodes is this season. So, like, as far as just something that happens that's just, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's not, I won't go into detail, but it's just a very, very pivotal remembered moment from this show. Like, when people talk about the moments that just made them go, like, this is one of them. So you're going to get some exciting stuff. Don't let, the Beth and Daryl is just a little detour of boredom.
It was just a little hiccup.
That's where this show started getting off, man. Like, they like, when you look at like season 1, it started off with Rick and then he found everybody. And from that point forward, there was always a bunch of people around. Season 2, you were at the farm. It was always like Lori trying to get Glenn to get her, plan B, and, Maggie and Glenn and Rick and Shane and Carl's wandering off. It was always multiple people to keep up with. And then season 3 was much the same way. Most episodes were, and then you arrive to this episode where it's just 2 people and that's all you see. I mean, I know we had Rick and Carl's thing, but you did also get some flashes of Michonne, so it was still another situation you were flashing back and forward to, whereas now it just stops. And that's where I think the show started messing up I think it started messing with the pacing of the show, because like this just imagine you had waited a week, which you did wait a week, but imagine especially this is the height of The Walking Dead right here. This is where it was getting record viewers, the biggest show on cable. Everybody was tuned in, and this is what you get on a Sunday night.
They got cocky.
They got a little overconfident in what they. Which
Yeah.
Angela Kang, who wrote the episode, she's awesome. She becomes showrunner later on and does some really cool stuff with what she has to work with. But this is not her best work.
I feel like until the whole group gets together again and finds each other, they should like not focus on one small group at a time. It would make a lot more sense to flash between all of them every episode so we can see the progression and the progress of them getting together.
Oh yeah, well, and that I agree 100%. Like if they're all coming, if that's the plan, which maybe it's not, they may never find each other again. But if the plan is that they're all going to get back together, then like every episode should be flashing between all of them, so we see where they're at. Like that's. But I feel like if they did that, it would have shortened the season because they could have got a lot done a lot faster. And I think, again, that's the problem with having a 16-episode season is it's like we got to fill out 16 episodes to fulfill
That's
this
true.
contract. And that's what happens. Like I said, season 7 and season 8 are not bad seasons. But when you were watching them week to week, and then you had the mid-season finale where you had to wait, 6 months for it to come back. Like they felt so slow. When you go back and you binge them, it's not that bad. But when you watched it week to week, and it's like, I don't know why they slow it down so much. But then I think back, well, they got 16 episode seasons to fill.
Yeah.
And there's a guy named Scott Gimple that is in charge. And he's like Angela Kang, but reverse. I said this was a bad thing Angela Kang had done, but overall, she's done a lot of good for the show. Scott Gimple has done a ton of terrible to the show. But he's also written, like he's responsible for the season 4 mid-season finale, the one with the Herschel dying and everything.
Yeah.
Like he's wrote some bomb stuff, but when he takes over fully, he makes some terrible decisions down the road.
He was trying really hard, Justin.
He did. And I'm going to be completely honest.
Effort.
I have nothing else to say about this episode. I know that may be disappointing to some, but it certainly is not.
This is the kind of thing that just tickles my balls.
Did you get these ready beforehand?
Yeah, I always have them. I can always find something. I have this one too, which has nothing to do with anything. But this episode certainly didn't make me go,
Oh, God, it's so good.
I like it.
I need to add more there. But yeah, so let's rate the episode. Hands where we can't see them. Come up with your rating in 3, 2, 1. Oh, we both gave it a 1. Not even a 1.5, just a flat out 1.
That's the only option.
And now keep in mind that I had told Jessi that there was an episode this season that I really didn't like, but I did not tell her which one it was. I didn't tell you it was the next one. I gave you no indication that this was the episode I didn't like. So this was not pre-planned. I didn't put it in Jessi's head, anything like that. I had said there's an episode this season that I'm just not fond of. We'll see what you think when we get to it. And I honestly thought we were going to come in and Jessi was going to be like, this is the best episode ever.
It's funny because right before we started podcasting and I was setting up my computer and stuff, I was thinking to myself, I need to refresh my memory on what happened because I don't feel like I have enough to talk about. But apparently you felt the same way.
Exactly.
I thought I was just forgetting that something happened because I was just I remember the house burning. And
right.
That's it. Basically. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yep. It just, it's just not it's not the best The Walking Dead has to offer from such a fantastic show with so many great moments, so many good characters and some great writing. This, thank goodness this wouldn't have been, I hope this was nobody's first episode. Maybe.
I thought you were going to say favorite.
No, I'm sure it is. I'm sure someone will comment and tell us how wrong we are and how amazing this episode was. And
that's fine.
All the character development. And that's cool. I'm fine with that. If you like it, you like it. I did not like it at all. And
it
I
can
have
only
been
go
saying that
uphill
forever.
from here.
Yeah, I will say I only can think of one episode that's probably worse than this. And I'm not telling you what season it is, where it is. So if we get to it down the road and you're like, this episode sucked. Then you're like, ding, ding, ding. That's it.
Next time we have one of these episodes, we should just skip doing the podcast on that one episode and go to the next one and just do a short little segment.
We're going to do a
And then-
recap of the last episode. It sucked. Moving on to this episode.
Exactly.
Because, yeah, I'm trying to see here.
It sucked. This is why it sucked. Okay, now let's talk about the good stuff.
Yep, because I just, and it's sometimes where shows or movies or whatever are slower, and it's like, but I can have an appreciation for what they're getting at, because I can be like, well, yeah, it was slow, but at the same time, like it really brought this out, or I really get the theme they were going for, whatever. This is one of those where I'm like, it just bored me to death.
Mm-hmm.
It just absolutely bored me to death. But fortunately, it's in my opinion, the worst episode of the season. So like you said, it's really only uphill from here. I don't think there's anything this season that was nearly this bad. So
Even my 5-year-old didn't like it. She said, we were watching it in the car, and she goes, Mom, can we watch something scarier?
Yeah. The only thing scary about this was drunk Beth.
Yeah, 100%.
But
Agreed.
well, that's going to wrap it up for us. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for joining us again. If you enjoyed what you heard, which you probably didn't because it was just us complaining for 20 minutes. But with that said, normally we love the episodes and we're talking about all the good in them. So if you do enjoy Walking Dead discussions, consider subscribing. Also, don't forget, we are going to be live on Sunday after The Last of Us. Which, Jessi, are you going to be able to join us for the Sunday live stream?
What time?
The episode is 9 to 10, so we'll be going on at 10.
I don't see why not.
It won't be something that will be permanent. It's only like 8 episodes that season, and then we're done.
I should be able to, yeah.
So it'll be, I think Seth's going to be joining us, depending on that, if he likes the episode. I know Matt will be joining us, so we could have up to 4 people live on the Sunday stream. And it's fun. You never got to do a live stream where you're interacting with people live as it happens. So join us. Don't forget, mark your calendar, Jessi. Sunday night, 10 o'clock, we're going live.
Okay.
You'll be a little sleepy the next day, but it'll be worth it. Live podcasting is so fun.
I'm always a little sleepy the next day, regardless of when I went to bed. So we're good.
Well, hot dog. Well, that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Justin.
I'm Jessi.
And we're the Podcasting Dead. Adios. Goodbye.
Bye.
Sayonara. What was that old thing? What was it on Jimmy Neutron? What was it? Hi, bye. Have a good time.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
It was some Nickelodeon show. I don't know.